Good, happy Wednesday evening. Is Wednesday, August 24, 2022. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, Tufton Borough man accused of firing gun at sheriff's deputy before standoff held without bail. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Buying or selling a home is a complex process, and for many, the largest financial transaction of their lives.
Yeah, Marissa, this is Anderson's second court appearance in as many days. Yesterday, he was in court due to a traffic issue, but today he's facing 3 new charges. The first one being attempted capital murder. Then there was also attempted first-degree assault, then also reckless conduct with a deadly weapon. All 3 of those are felonies. Now, the defense pled not guilty on all of those charges today, but prosecutors say that this all started yesterday when the judge gave Anderson a $434 fine for driving 90 miles per hour in a 55 zone in last November. Anderson was reportedly upset, storming out of the courthouse, heading for his home on Canaan Road in Tufton Borough, and a sheriff's deputy tried to pull him over, but that's when Anderson allegedly got out of his vehicle in a shooting stance with a silver handgun and fired one shot that penetrated the officer's windshield. Prosecutors say Anderson then barricaded himself in his home for 9 hours, and he also placed a rifle in his window. The standoff ended around 8 o'clock last night, but the judge deemed Anderson a danger to the community.
Clear and convincing evidence of dangerousness. I think looking at any of those individual standards, I believe the state has prevailed in demonstrating that Mr. Campbell should be held without bail terms.
Now, if Anderson is found guilty of attempted capital murder, that is an offense that could mean life in prison. Now, the next step is an evidentiary hearing, which a date has not yet been set. Live in Ossipee, Troy Lynch, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Judge declares mistrial in case involving Laconia man accused of killing friend with sword and other items. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Walmart, America's largest, is hiring. Earn $23.55 to $28.10 per hour plus benefits. Working at Walmart's Raymond Distribution Center. 50 full-time positions available. Apply today online or text DC to 240-240. Walk-ins welcomed.
Thank everyone for their patience over the past few days. The lawyers and I have been working through a number of unforeseen issues that have arisen. And in consideration of those issues, the court has determined that there's a manifest necessity to declare a mistrial in this case. And because of this mistrial, there will be a retrial of this case at a later date. Unfortunately, I cannot explain to you the reasons why I'm declaring a mistrial. Those reasons are not public. The public does not even know of them. So I'm not at liberty to basically tell you, which I'm sure can be quite frustrating. But I do want to thank all of you for your willingness to serve in this trial and for taking your oath as a juror very seriously. You're all very attentive, and I know all of us appreciate that you have taken this duty with the utmost responsibility. So we do want to let you all know that we are very appreciative of that. You have now fulfilled your jury duty service, and the trial has concluded with a mistrial. And so you are now free to leave. You are off the hook for jury duty as long as you live in this county for 3 years. Again, we do appreciate your attention and your willingness to serve. And certainly it's an unfortunate development, but it's one that cannot be avoided despite everyone's efforts. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Juvenile dead after car crash in Amherst. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Whoa, sorry, you probably didn't catch all that. Well, as you can see, Fidium is fast. How fast? 2 gig download and upload fast. But we know speed isn't everything. That's why we also offer whole home Wi-Fi connectivity, an easy-to-use app, and so...
And right now, police in Amherst are investigating a crash that killed a juvenile driver. It happened around 2:30 yesterday afternoon on Boston Post Road. Police say that vehicle was reportedly speeding, went off the road, and then hit a tree. The driver was pronounced dead at the hospital. The name and the age of the victim is not being released.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Lyme man indicted on altercating first, second-degree murder charges in cousin's death. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Whoa, sorry, you probably didn't catch all that. Well, as you can see, Fidium is fast.
This is the search warrant, which shows that late Saturday night, officers collected photos and video of 35-year-old Lance Goodrich's body, including hair samples, fingernail scrapings, and other physical evidence of the crime of aggravated sexual assault. But right now, Lance Goodrich is only charged with second-degree homicide. The shooting death of Lance's 25-year-old cousin, Brooke Goodrich, inside her Orford home Saturday sparked an hours-long manhunt that spanned more than 50 miles and prompted a shelter-in-place order for some people in Newport. Lance Goodrich was arrested at a home in Newport around 4:30 Saturday afternoon. Monday's bail hearing was done virtually, but 14 people were seated inside Grafton Superior Court to watch the video proceedings. The state requested the suspect be held without bail.
Attorney Brooks, does the defendant waive a reading of the complaints and enter pleas of not guilty to them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I will note those not guilty pleas. Attorney Ward?
Thank you, Your Honor. Pursuant to RSA 597(1)C, we'd ask that the defendant be detained, given the pending charges.
Bail conditions include no contact with Brooke Goodrich's mother and brothers. Lance Goodrich retained the right to revisit bail at a later date once permanent counsel is retained. Live in studio, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. But President Biden announces student debt forgiveness plan. Here's what it includes. Let's take a look at this video.
Whoa, sorry, you probably didn't catch all that. Well, as you can see, Fidium is fast. How fast? 2 gig...
And I hope Congress will move on this funding quickly. I believe they will. I am not considering $50,000 debt reduction.
I'm Colin Binkley. I'm an education reporter for the Associated Press based in Washington. President Biden has just announced his decision on student debt cancellation. It's a decision that's long awaited, very politically polarized, but is expected to bring relief to millions of student loan borrowers across the country. At the same time, he also extended a student loan freeze that allows borrowers to put off their payments during the pandemic. Calls for student debt cancellation have been increasing for years as just the total amount of student debt in the country continues to balloon. Since 2007, the total amount of student debt has tripled. It's now one of the largest forms of personal debt. There are proponents who say that by canceling debt, it will bring relief to Americans who can't buy houses, cars, who haven't been able to make other important milestones in their lives because they're so burdened by this debt.
Thank you. Yeah.
Politically, it was a really thorny issue for President Biden. There are so many factions with strong opinions around student debt and what to do about it. First, from the right, Republicans are opposed to any form of student debt cancellation. They say that it's sort of an unfair handout, that it helps wealthier Americans at the expense of taxpayers who didn't go to college. They say that it's going to worsen inflation and be a big cost for the nation. On the left, you get a variety of opinions. The most extreme, there are groups who say that $50,000 is the minimum per person that President Biden should cancel. There are some that say that all student debt should just be eliminated entirely. There are some that say that $10,000 is okay as a start. Yeah, no doubt this will continue to be a political issue going into the midterms, and we could see even a lengthy legal challenge to it, which could delay the actual cancellation for some time. So whether the money actually gets erased before voters go to the polls is kind of up in the air.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Feds arrest 5 members of B Squad militant in January 6th case. Let's take a listen to that video from MSNBC.
Developments today in the investigations related to the January 6th insurrection. First, you had the feds today charging 5 members of the militia group known as the B Squad, which was allegedly run by a former candidate for Congress. This, as we're also learning, the committee is using its summer recess to get deeper into whether former President Trump's cabinet talked about using the 25th Amendment to remove him from office, according to his sources telling our team, giving hints at what the committee may focus on in the next round of public hearings set to pick back up come September next month. I want to bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale and Justice reporter Ryan Riley. And Ryan, let me start with you. First to report on this militia arrest. I know there's a couple of things that stood out to you about these new charges and about its leader.
That's right. So there were 3 arrests that happened today in Florida. There was one up in Vermont and one in Kentucky. It was all involving this B Squad. And what B Squad is a reference to is essentially a B plan, meaning that there were individuals who were planning essentially to what would happen if Trump wouldn't stay in power. This was going to be their B plan, essentially to help him retain power. What's sort of remarkable about this is, A, that this is all organized by a former candidate for the GOP House nomination in Florida, who had been running for several months, and also that he organized an entire block of hotels in D.C. On January 6th. The FBI affidavit states that more than 40 people were staying in this block of hotels who are all part of this B Squad, so to speak. The number of individuals who were charged in this case are 5, and we're all involved at the tunnel, where some of the most egregious violence that we saw on January 6th took place. So it's another indication that this January 6th investigation by the FBI is ongoing. There's a lot more work to do, but this is one of the more complicated cases that we've seen come up. A lot of these cases have been one-offs, just one individual charged with their conduct, but this is more of a conspiracy type of case where all of these individuals plan together and are charged as a group, in fact, here, Haley.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That did it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening. Good night and goodbye.